All right, calm down. At least tell everybody what we're doing.
Unboxing my recently received copy of Dark Souls, the board game. That finally is one of the first Kickstarters I seem to have gotten without any shipping problems. So I'm very excited, if you couldn't tell by that spaz right there. But very excited about this one in particular because I've been a fan of these games since Demon's Souls first hit PS3. Trying to find an easy way to play King's Field, which was the original game that these guys did. But all the reviews for this have been fantastic, and that is the best way to...
come on.
This is the best way I can think of to summarize opening up this game.
Wow.
You died.
How often?
They get us. Or they get me, at least.
Yeah.
I mean, that is the best possible way to... And these are really interesting looking card backs. It's a Union Jack.
Isn't that what their underwears look like? Oh, no, that's in Fable.
Yeah, I think in terms of quality, I think Dark Souls has Fable beat. First one was all
That's
right.
fair. I like the second one, too.
The second
Third one was
pretty-
garbage.
Yeah, I didn't bother with the third. All right, so the variety, I think 252 cards total, because you can actually equip your character with whatever you want. The bosses have their own deck because they're all procedurally generated.
Mm-hmm.
I'm assuming not edible cubes. I believe you use these to track life, as well as a bunch of things.
So Will can't eat them?
Not edible, are you sure?
We can try.
Where's Will?
Where's Will?
And wow. Because the way this works is you actually have double-sided maps to, sorry about the glare, to build the playing field. And it looks like they give you...
Oh, boy.
Holy crap! Oh, character sheets. We'll get to those in a minute, because...
Look at the other side. There you go. More character
I'm
sheets.
thinking like, man, character sheets... Why was that when the... Oh, there. Okay, they just mixed it up. It looks like you get all sorts of different...
There's
terrains.
dials.
Yeah. This looks like it is going to be great. It looks like they're really taking a lot of inspiration from... Hey!
Yeah, a lot of dials.
Dials for the bosses. And they definitely didn't skimp on... Well, has anyone played Guild Ball? I have not. I'm just curious if anyone has, because I've heard good things about it. But it's the same company who actually made this. Character sheets, just like in the game, you do get to equip your character with whatever you want. There is, of course, the Souls mechanic. That's how you level up. To read more into that, but you have your warrior, knight, assassin, and the herald, which I'm assuming is going to be kind of a magic-based class. But curious how if they'll bring in the level up. But of course, the biggest draw of this game, and what I think everyone was most excited about, me included.
Let's switch camera angles for these.
Yes, of course. Well, I was gonna. We'll switch when I get them open. Actually, 'cause I don't know how to pack. Oh yeah, that's.
Oh, man. Oh, man.
Okay, yeah. This is. I don't care if the game is garbage. This is worth the price of admission alone.
Ooh, you don't have to build them.
That is awesome. That these. What's up? Yeah, these are fantastic. So we'll start.
Let's switch to a close
Yeah,
shot.
we'll start. Let me adjust the camera for the viewers there. Ignore Steve in the background. Hi, Steve.
Is that the Onion Knight?
No, this is Smog. Or wait, no.
Ornstein?
Who is the bigger one? I always get them confused because those bosses
I
gave me.
thought it was Smog. Was
Those
the big
bosses
one.
gave me a lot of nightmares because I tried to beat them with no help. So. Oh wait, no. This is actually just. This isn't even one of those. This is just an enemy.
Oh, okay.
Oh, it's the winged knight.
Oh,
He's
those
from
things are
Dark,
cute.
Let me-
Dark Souls 3.
Pull focus just a little bit here. There we go.
The Dancer of the Boreal Valley, one of the bosses from Dark Souls 3, one of the more iconic ones. Very fun boss fight. Beautiful detail. I mean, these look like they're going to be a painter's dream.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. Hopefully, once I can get my painting skills up to snuff, I will actually attempt
As
to do it.
difficult as the game.
I mean, I don't know.
May I see those?
Of course. The Titanite Demon. Not even one of the bosses. I mean, I guess he's a mini boss in the game, but this thing was always the biggest nightmare because they would just show up at random points. You'd be walking down a hallway, and this thing would just be sitting there waiting. And they were terrifying. Here we go. My mistake. Ornstein.
That's
I
interesting
hope I'm getting
design.
that right.
That is an interesting design. It says on the back of the box what they are, actually.
I'm feeling terrible because I can't remember. Okay, that's Smog. Sorry. Shame on me. I'm so overcome with excitement right now just gazing at these. This is one of the first miniatures they revealed, though. And as you can see why, it's kind of awesome. These guys were notorious in Dark Souls 1. Because this is where the game really decided to kick you in the junk, especially if you didn't level up right. Which I did. That's why I didn't want to remember their names, because it gave me nightmares. And that's only one half of them. I am, fortunately, am blanking on this guy's name. But yet another Dark Souls 3 boss. I want to say this is one of the Frost Knights.
That one that you were blanking on is the Boreal Outrider Knight mini boss.
Okay, cool. These guys were a pain in the ass, too.
Dark Souls 3 stuff.
Well, it came out around, but they have expansions that are going to add. Actually, one of the ones I have is the Artorias of the Abyss expansion I have coming, which is from Dark Souls 1. One of my favorite bosses, actually, from the second game. The first game, and he makes an appearance in the second game, the Gargoyle Knights.
I love how his tail has an axe head on it.
These things were a nightmare because you fought two of them.
Yeah.
And then in 2, they were a side boss, if I remember right. And you had to fight 6 of them. And they would come in at different points. It was great.
So it's like a gauntlet.
Yeah, kind of. This is one of the first boss fights where you get Solaire as a summon to help.
Move that forward a bit so we can see the detail on that shield. That is beautiful. Back just a little so it's in focus. Man.
I said Steamforge did not mess around. I've only seen a little bit of the Guild Ball minis, but this, like I said, as someone who is a huge fan of these games, these things are like what I want.
It's really, I mean, because and that guy with the hammer, his neck is just, oh boy.
Yeah, it's questionable. It's not quite Kingdom Death Monsters levels of lewd.
Yeah.
But it does look like a ball sack.
Yeah, I was going to say, it's very scrotal.
But here's the thing. You get distracted by that, and then he messes your life up for good.
Yeah.
He was so powerful, he didn't care. I think, honestly, looking at the detail on the back of the wings is really impressive.
Yeah, that's lovely. I like how it's both leathery and feathered wings. That's a cool design.
I mean, if there's one thing these games, even if you never actually play them, just looking up the boss runs.
And that's one thing. As far as Dark Souls is concerned, I've played maybe 20 minutes of one of them. I don't know which.
They're not for everybody. I mean,
I liked it. I just I didn't have anything that could play it, so I didn't have it myself.
Understandable. So those are just that's actually just the first minis out of the box.
Also, that vacuum form box that it comes in is awesome.
So yeah, I really can't wait to see those on the table. But let's. Here we got your dice.
Here, let me switch angles here. There you go.
Dice, even though I hear the random element in this game, it plays a factor, but it's more about tactics, positioning, learning your enemy's patterns, very similar to the game. Like, they really tried... Oh, even more dice. Alright, here we go. Some more of these guys. I'm really kind of upset, but also really happy to see these guys in miniature form. I'm upset because I hated fighting these guys.
Let's move on in.
Sorry. Just once again, taking in these are the Black Knight Archers. I think that's the proper term for them, but these guys were... I hated fighting them. And mostly because they were always very good at putting them in the game at places where if you got hit by them, you'd fall off the ledge. And this is a great bow, so as you can see, they're not. It's mostly like they're shooting lances at you.
Yeah.
So these, I'm sure, will be a lot of fun to deal with in the actual game. Got some of your standard undead grunts.
Oh, their faces look amazing.
Oh, they know that. Like I said, these things are going to be great to paint. And I'm sure there will be a lot of people posting these. The other pair, Ornstein, the smaller but still just as threatening and terrifying part of that boss fight. Amazing detail. He's a little less scrotal
Yeah.
looking than Smog. Let me get Sentinels. It's a psychological factor. Not quite Kingdom Death levels, as I said, but pretty lewd. More gorgeous minis. All right.
I mean, those look like the kind of guys that would stand in front of some doorways and throw riddles at you.
If even. I mean, except if you get them wrong, they destroy you.
Yeah.
That
Well,
might be the first one I paint.
that's
'cause
that's
my favorite
implied.
boss.
This one?
Yes.
That's the one when you
That shield looks like the most fun I've ever had painting. That shield.
And something nice that they do, which I think is great for people who might not be familiar with Dark Souls, the miniatures for the heroes are actually different colored. Which I think...
There are
Very-
some games that do that, but not a lot.
And you know what? With a game with as many minis as there are, because Ethereum doesn't really color code their minis. I know some are kind of easy to tell, but I do know once or twice playing it, there's been some confusion over which unit is which.
Well, Ethereum is also you're supposed to paint them yourselves.
Yeah.
That's not a given that you're going to paint
That's
these.
true. This isn't necessarily 100% paint.
I love the stance on that knight.
I mean, they're all unique. They all look awesome. I like how they use the typical knight from the Dark Souls 2, the mascot, basically. You have the assassin, you have the herald. So, and now there's still more minis. Crossbow knights. Regular undead knights. And I think the quality on these is rivaling that of like Warhammer.
It smells nice.
And you also get the melee equivalent of the Black Knight archers.
The guys that stand on ledges and knock you off of them.
No, these guys just stand in hallways and they wait for you to approach them and then they mess you up. Shauna, I believe you had an experience when you first tried playing Dark Souls. The guys with the horns.
Walked down to the stairs,
Yeah.
saw him, turned right back around, and went to the other.
They didn't back off when they saw you. They
I ran screaming.
So those are all the miniatures easily out of the box, and then
Yep,
I
ran
will.
screaming.
I'm assuming we can do a follow-up video once I get more of the other
let's
ones.
do a quick camera switch and just thumb through the rulebook.
Yeah,
real
I
quick.
was about to say. So, one rule book, which is rather nice to see. I almost want to get this framed.
We died. Are we just gonna throw that on the board, like at the end of the game?
We get some. Looks like you get some lore, which I know you're a fan of in your games.
Yep.
All the game contents. All your. Oh, even gives you a basic setup, tile setup. One thing it actually scales. You can play this game solo with just you. You can go to 2 players, 3 players, or 4 players, which I think is actually going to help add some replayability. How to set up your character sheets. Overall, I'm actually pretty impressed. It doesn't look like a very intimidating rulebook.
Post-game ritual. Love it.
Basking in the glory of victory or writhing in the agony of defeat. After completing a game of Dark Souls, the board game, players should return all cards to the proper decks.
Oh, okay.
I mean, that's a good post-game ritual to have. Legendary needs that. I don't know how activations work, because that's one thing I was really excited about. I didn't actually get to watch the video on it, but the boss battles, it's all based on the deck. And you can kind of start to learn the pattern. So similar to the game, you kind of develop a strategy, and it keeps that bonfire mechanic where you die and you lose everything, but then you can get it back by fighting your way through. but it's a co-op game.
The cards we should take a look at also.
Oh yeah, definitely. But nice little rule book. Nothing too intimidating. Quick reference on the back, which is always useful. Because I'm definitely going to want to play this tonight. I'm sure it's going to take a little bit of getting used to.
Now, before playing it, just looking at the components and what's here through the rulebook, does it feel like this was worth the wait?
Yes. I mean, the miniatures alone, as a fan of the games, as I've said, it's really awesome to see those kind of physically realized. But even then, just looking at the rule book, the tiles, it looks like they really captured the aesthetic of the game, which is one of the key components of those games that makes them so good. I mean, Dark Souls is a very vague universe for the most part, because it relies on you as the player kind of making your own, kind of learning about the universe by exploring it. And while that's hard to get in a game like this, it looks like they've done a pretty fantastic job of putting in things that kind of help. It feels very true to the game. Which, I mean, even the level up system looks like it's going to be the same. You have the Estus Flask for health. You can the equipment screen is still the same. So I'm really curious to see how the mechanics actually play out, because I have only read reviews. I have not actually looked at any gameplay videos. And then, of course, I do like how they give you a card tray. Not enough games do that.
And this looks like a game that we're definitely going to be giving a little more attention to in the near future. Whether it's a playthrough video, a rules explanation, I feel like this is one we're gonna take a look at a bit.
Number 101. I don't know if that was me or not. I know I jumped on this as soon as the Kickstarter dropped, but I actually set time aside at work to make sure I could be at a computer to do that. I also just really like the card backs. I don't know, it's classy. Yeah, it looks like...
I know what this is. English version of the cards. As opposed to being in German or French.
Good point.
That's so that they could quickly organize it.
Smart move. Okay. Well, they definitely sealed them right, so I don't know if you want to try and open up one of these. So, Mike, as someone who, like you said, only really kind of dabbled in playing the games, what are your thoughts on the game, just looking at...
I mean, it looks really cool. One of my favorite things that I did have when I played one of this game is something I love in games, and you can customize your characters, which you don't get with a miniatures game, because in that one you could really control everything and make some really horrific-looking person.
Yes. I know there's quite a few playthroughs where it's all about making the most ugliest character you can. Brian, what are your thoughts so far? Just kind of
The
playing.
minis are awesome. I've never played the video game, so I have no reference point. The minis are spectacular.
Yeah, this is just to signify which set it is for packaging.
Oh, it's...
Oh, that's cool.
I do like how they actually have like a D-pad as
Yeah.
the symbol for basically the boss movement. So, just kind of flipping through. This looks like it's going to be your boss deck. So each boss basically has their own deck of cards that you flip through as the match continues. It'll tell you where they move, which direction they face, what they do. So, as in the game, it's kind of understanding the boss's patterns and working around it. Even the enemies have the same kind of thing.
Yeah, this is another enemy deck, it looks like.
That's what you got. So you got 2 sets of enemy decks. He's an aggressive character.
Did you show a close-up of the cards?
Yes. Just kind of showed a brief.
Because I could do, in this angle, might be a little easier to...
He's like bronze colored in the game.
And you know what? Since you mentioned...
It's so
Oh, yeah.
There's an ability of some kind, Leaping Frost.
I believe that's the one of the mini bosses. And then, since you mentioned customization, while you might not be able to customize how your character looks, it looks like they give you no shortage of weapons.
Equipment, yeah.
Yeah, you can do claymore, axe, winged spear. One of my favorites, personally, the Murakamo, probably pronounced it Zweihander. One of the most fun weapons, but of course you're taking your life in your own hands at that point using it. Warning Star, all your favorite weapons are here, and these are actually just the flat-out symbols from the game, which is kind of a neat little... excellent use of the license. Fire bombs are a thing, the kukris, your armor, so it looks like you really can, while you might not be able to customize how your character looks, you do get a lot of customization with. Oh, they even have the magic spells, and even the pyromancies. Because this is just the core box, and because this game made so many of the stretch goals, I'm going to be getting a lot more for this, including two of the boss expansions, and I think a bunch of the characters. Because they're actually making one of the most exciting things. They're making a Solaire miniature, and Solaire is one of the most iconic characters in Dark Souls. I don't know if you've ever heard anyone talk about praising the sun. No, it's a big deal.
Praise the sun.
So. And I'm assuming these are going to be encounter cards. Ghostly Keep. Oh, how many enemies are in there? What type? Very cool. Kind of makes it easy to set things out. It doesn't look like it's going to end more weapons. Doesn't look like it's going to be too hard to actually set up and get going. So yeah, I'm really excited to dig into this tonight. More equipment. So continuing that, you are going to have plenty of options. Oh, can even do fist build. The Sastes. Spider Shield, Black Iron, Great Shield. It's a nice blend of Dark Souls 1 and 2 and 3. Man, this is gonna need lots of sleeves. And then one last stack of cards. So I would say this was definitely worth the wait. Yet more weapons to equip. More armor. Yeah, it looks like no matter what class you play, you're going to have a lot of fun equipping yourself with whatever you can find.
Very cool.
So yeah, I'm going to start reading these rules right away. And I can't wait to see what the community does as far as painting these go.
Well, as always, thanks for checking us out and
Hopefully
seeing
we'll do a playthrough video
seeing
soon.
what we're getting into. Make sure to check out our Facebook page, facebook.com/greenfiregames, as well as our website, greenfiregames.net. We have events throughout the week. And thanks for watching.
Thank you.